Just as a heads up, this guide assumes that you know how to use numpad notation. If you are unfamiliar with this, please look at the reference sheet on the screen or the numpad on your keyboard on your desk. You don't use like a tiny keyboard, do you? Why would you do that? All of the footage in this video is from Beta 2 as well, meaning that when the game launches, this guide may be out of date. I'm going to try and keep it as general as possible, however, take what I say with a pinch of salt once the game actually releases. Starlord is an all-rounder character who's able to adapt into any situation that he finds himself in, partly because of his very well-rounded moveset, but also because of his unique elemental guns. Starlord can be played in basically any position on a team and provides utility everywhere that you put him. He's great to play solo or in a team composition, and I'm going to show you exactly what you can get away with as this character. So, let's talk about Starlord. To begin with, his unique movement option is Flight. Like several other characters in the game, Starlord is able to omni-fly by holding up after jumping. In this state, he has increased movement speed, as well as the ability to dash out of it. Flying is extremely useful when dealing with opponents who are further away on the screen, as your increased movement speed allows you to actually catch up to them relatively easily. His unique gimmick is his elemental gun. By pressing a direction and U, Starlord gets one of 4 different elements that he can use. Neutral or up is his blast element, which fires a large horizontal line. Forward is fire, which sends out a slower moving fireball that hits multiple times. Back is ice, which is a short range blast that freezes the opponent on hit. And down is earth, a slower to start projectile that gives him a mini shield. I'm not entirely sure what this shield blocks, but he has it. You're able to fire the gun by pressing U without any direction. If you've already used a shot, pressing U again will reload whatever element you currently have. All of these abilities are useful in their own way. Generally, Blast is useful for zoning and hitting the opponent from further ends of the screen. Fire is useful for combos and pressure. Back was useful for Okizeme, we'll get onto that. And Earth is a good counter-zoning tool. These are all used in combos in different ways, and they affect his 50-meter super. This gives them different properties based on whatever element you're currently using. The most notable one is Ice, which freezes the opponent after it is used. We'll wrap back around to these elements later when we talk about his combo theory and his Okizeme. His 2-3-6 is Quad Blasts. Starlord shoots his gun at a given angle. If this move is used in the air, it is fired downwards. It's a decent zoning tool that hits relatively far from the screen. However, since the bullets aren't instantly traveling across the screen, it's not necessarily the best one in the game. The tricky angle in the air can be used to hit opponents when they don't expect it, especially if they're trying to anti-air you. It's very funny. His 2-1-4 is Ravager Rush. Starlord slides across the ground and hits the opponent twice. If the EX version of the attack is used, Starlord knocks the opponent into the air and follows them, allowing for an extra combo. If this move is used in the air, Starlord instead kicks the opponent down to the ground and follows them with a barrage of bullets. This is an extremely important move for Starlord. On the ground, it is the move that will stick or break the wall depending on what area you are on the screen, meaning you'll be using it to either end or extend combos. Whereas the medium one seems to be a little bit better for pressure, though it's not really that good. Heavy's very good for combo extenders if you're not entirely sure how to keep going. However, Starlord has so many ways to extend combos in his kits that you rarely ever use this. His 6-2-3 is Gravity Mine. Starlord throws out a grenade that locks the opponent in place once it connects. Each version of the move throws the grenade at a different angle, with light being sharp upwards and medium traveling full screen. Heavy is thrown similar to the medium angle, however, it is the fastest out of the bunch. If you want an easy combo extender tool in the corner without breaking the wall, after using 2 hate, Starlord can actually use the light grenade to immediately lock the opponent in the air, thus allowing for a follow-up air combo. He can also use the EX version to do this, however, it seemingly has less benefits now than it did in the first beta. His 2-2 is Rocket Step. Starlord flips forward, putting himself in the air. The light and medium have variable distance, and the EX version comes with a strike on the initial flip. This is useful for his pressure and overheads. There is a massive gap left by the initial animation, so don't get too predictable with this. Starlord's combo theory is super simple. You knock the opponent into the air, you bring them down with light or heavy Ravager Rush, and then have an assist pick the opponent up when they land. He's then able to either repeat the situation or go for a wall break or a wall slump with a ground light Ravager Rush. The combo theory in this game is actually quite freeform, and you'll find yourself jumping between sequences depending on what you want to do. Hopefully the combos that I'm showing on screen now will help you understand the potential that this character has, but don't be afraid to experiment. Between Beta 1 and Beta 2, he's had a lot of changes. So there's some things that used to work that no longer do. However, he's seemingly been compensating for this with new routes and new toys to play with. The general BMB I use is this. I knock the opponent off the ground with 2M, then launch them higher with 5H, followed by a jumping medium, jumping heavy, and a jump cancel heavy before bringing them down to the ground with a light Ravager rush. From there, it depends on where we are on the screen and depending on what I want to do. The mid-screen variant has us go back into the air, doing the same sequence again. If we were at the wall though, I either like to slump, if possible, or lock them down with a light grenade to reset into more air combo shenanigans. The general ender you used to try and do was heavy grenade into ice beam. However, this has been changed quite drastically recently. What used to happen is when you lock people down with ice, once they teched out, they would remain on the floor, giving you a very easy safe jump as well as a pretty decent mix-up, especially for a solo character. Unfortunately for me, this has been changed significantly. Now opponents air tech out after the ice is broken, and the ice seems to last way less time now. Because of this, the safe jump no longer works. And if you want to find interesting Oki, you're going to have to really try and find it yourself. I really wanted to show you all the mix-ups that I had found in the first beta here. Unfortunately, they've seemingly been removed due to the changes of ice. I'm going to try and find a couple more things, and hopefully by the course of the end of the weekend I'll have found some interesting stuff, but I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be more specific on the Okizeme matter. Ending with supers is generally good if you want to cash out your damage, and Starlord has a lot of opportunities where other characters are able to tag in and continue combos. Take the pieces of routes that I have given you and try and find ways to put them into different sequences. This character is about as easy as he looks, so you'll be able to extend combos and get crazy stuff just by messing around with him. Starlord is a very powerful character who's able to extend combos easily with the help of assists. Since he has an answer to every situation, he works well in any position in a team, though I personally like to run him point since his flight and high combo potential is great for getting the party started. Without extremely easy to execute Okizeme anymore, he definitely relies much more on his team now than he did in the previous beta. Because of this, getting your team as quickly as possible with Starlord is going to be an absolute must. Thankfully for you, getting a wall break as this character is super fucking easy. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see some Starlord gameplay as well as me dicking about on Spider-Man, come over to the Twitch right now. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!